Good afternoon, everybody. We are back with a government affairs update, the filibuster segment. I think it's hard to believe that a month ago we were in New Orleans for the PCA 2026 trade show. A lot leading up to the trade show, and then following has occurred on the government affairs front. And Glenn and I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of give everyone a lay of the land of what's going on in the states and address a few federal matters. So we'll hopefully do so in the next 15 and 20 minutes to give you a holistic update of what's going on in the government affairs world. So I'll turn it over to my colleague Glenn to give you the state update first.
Thanks, Josh. Well, we're at that twilight moment in the state legislative season with everything that was going like gangbusters in January with the onslaught of legislation and the filing of legislation and finding out was good and what was bad on the political landscape for the premium cigar sector. So we started out with issues really in 33 states. We've now chiseled that down to nine, and those nine, it's varying levels of good, bad, and indifferent. Uh, just recently, though, the PCA posted on cigaraction.org a new petition supporting cigar bar legislation in New York. This is not the first time that it's been introduced, obviously, but it's a strong, wonderful piece of legislation that we hope everybody will chime in and send their petition to their elected officials through cigaraction.org. Also, the tax cap legislation has been refiled in the state of New York. There's an assembly version and a Senate version, and we have petitions to both of those available at Cigar Action as well. With a great deal of promise, hopefully this year, there's a petition that we hope everybody in the state of Illinois will use for at Cigar Action, supporting a tax cap in the state of Illinois. In light of last year's increase, this is an all the more critical piece of legislation in the state of Illinois. A great deal of progress has been made in documenting the economic benefits to the state. So we hope that this will be the magical year for the tax cap in the state of Illinois. We hope that proposed gubernatorial tax increase in the state of Rhode Island, we're hoping that proposition is on life support. The Rhode Island Senate has been a wonderful firewall on this proposition. A little more receptiveness to it in the Rhode Island House. It would raise to give you an idea of a state budgets, all of them range into billions of dollars. The governor's office in Rhode Island stated that the proposed raising of the cap from 50 cents to a dollar would raise $649,000. It's hardly worth the effort. So we hope the Rhode Island proposition for the tax cap increase will fade away here in the not too distant future, just as we do for the state of Delaware for a proposed tax increase. We're hoping the governor's proposal to raise the OTP in Delaware is on life support as well. And working our way up, just staying on the eastern seaboard for a moment, we're hoping that the proposed tax increase on cigars and other tobacco products in the state of New Jersey, we're also hoping that one's on life support. Going down south, the legislature didn't give a hearing to the proposition of a proposed tax increase in the state of Georgia. We're hearing that proposition won't even be heard until next year, but by the same token, we're keeping that petition live on Cigar Action so that our constituents and retailers can keep their opinions flowing to the legislature on what a bad idea that is. Also, the tax measures don't seem to be getting any traction in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but the nicotine-free generation, otherwise known as the generational smoking ban legislation, even though it's not creeping along in the state legislature, it is certainly creeping along from a local government to local government attempt to pass nicotine-free generational smoking bans at the local level in Massachusetts. So we continue to keep our petitions live for that on the state legislative level because you never know when it's going to get traction. Just as a proposed tax increase, we're hoping that doesn't get any traction there. Massachusetts is just one of those states like New York and a few others where you can really never take your eye off of them. I want to highlight something at the local level that we're rolling out, hopefully by this afternoon, a petition opposing a bar smoking ban ordinance in the city of Knoxville, Tennessee. This is concerning just because we don't see very many of these types of propositions in the South. Um, Several members of city council have come together to propose this, even though, and this is important to note, cigar shops and existing cigar bars would not be affected by this ordinance. This is really about a freedom issue. It's a property rights issue. It's saying that business owners can make their own decisions on whether or not they are a smoke-free environment. This does not constitute something that rises to the level of governmental influence. So that's the reason our petition will be live here, hopefully in the next few hours. And we're sending a strong message to city council as well, just to protect the cigar shops, cigar lounges, and cigar bars that exist in the city of Knoxville. Just want to highlight, before I shift it back to Josh, some positive highlights of this year's state legislative season. Arguably the worst proposition in the country was the proposal to totally remove the tax cap in the state of Washington. It would have subjected pipe tobacco and cigars to the 95% OTP rate in the state of Washington. After a lot of fury, a lot of activity from January up until weeks ago, this was arguably the worst bill in America, and thankfully it has not advanced at all. Likewise, tax increase proposals died in the state of Mississippi, as did a statewide smoking ban. And the proposed tax increase in the state of Iowa did not advance, thanks in part to the effort of PCA member State Senator Mike Pike. And lastly, it was a wonderful measure, kind of offering this regional snapshot, if you will, because of what happened in North Dakota 2 years ago, that this year a cigar bar legislation successfully worked its way through the South Dakota legislature and was signed by the governor not too long ago. So South Dakota joins a growing coalition of states that, after they have adopted Clean Indoor Air Act measures, have offered exemptions specifically for a narrowly defined class of cigar bars. It's been a great phenomenon working its way from Connecticut to now South Dakota. So with that, where you want to go, Josh?
Well, I think just to piggyback off of that, Glenn, I think we're well positioned now for additional exemptions given what occurred just before the trade show in the courts with determining the definition of a premium cigar. The court victory sustained there. So, we now have a clear roadmap for additional exemptions at the state and local level, utilizing that language. We also, I think it's important to note on the state level, state and local level, one other victory, and this was really a member-led initiative, not really our government affairs team working on it, but in St. Louis. Glenn, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yes, and it was due to the local leadership of the retail community in St. Louis that St. Louis City Council passed an ordinance and the mayor signed an ordinance that would offer a variance to the smoking regulations for the St. Louis Convention Center. There's been a long-standing interest in bringing the trade show to St. Louis. There's several possibilities with this type of an exemption. It could be utilized for major cigar events, for example. So just opening the door is a very positive sign, and we hope it's followed by other local governments that specifically have an interest in recruiting cigar-friendly events like the trade show, like many regional shows, for example, or specialty cigar events. It just shows a more open door type of attitude towards the industry that we welcome really nationwide.
And it's precipitated other conversations already with different expo centers and large venues about having these limited, you know, 3, 4 day, or in some cases 1 day exemptions for cigar friendly shows. Not only the trade show, I think a lot of people have seen the growth within PCA, looking at different avenues. I know I did a few interviews at the trade show talking about the possibility of a cigar bar expo in the future. That's always remains a possibility, another B2B smaller activation for that subclass of membership that we have. This is a positive step. My intention is to, award some folks advocacy achievement for their efforts in St. Louis. This summer, planning on doing one of our meet and greets out in St. Louis in July, just before the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival. So kind of a multi-day trip there. Federally, beyond the courts, congressionally, we're, activating when necessary, but it's election season right now. I think it's gearing up for more of the practical political side of things. So there is not a ton of things to be super concerned of, like the tax increases, which we, had in previous years having to fight at the federal level. A lot of that has been diffused to the state level. And Glenn and his team has been very successful at pushing back on a lot of that. Federally, though, we are engaged on the tariff front. The association has filed 6 comments to the 301 docket, these investigations, to give people a little bit of sense. And things change with the tariffs and trade almost daily. At present time, you have the 122 tariffs in effect. That's 10% across the board. Those expire July 24th, outside of any legal challenges. And it was struck down. And then while it's being appealed, it's withheld. It's upheld. So they have in effect right now the 122 tariffs at the 10% rate. But July 24th, the administration would have the ability to increase that rate for 60 countries in the European Union. PCA filed comments for the European Union, Mexico, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Honduras, and Nicaragua. We filed 6 comments there, and we're engaging with the administration to show the effect of tariffs on U.S. small business retail, that, the domestic market and the nearly 500 million premium cigars that are imported in the United States cannot be produced domestically. So that is our message. And I think that's the one that we're not only working with the administration, but congressional allies. And that's covering most of our time at the federal level right now. We also have some public engagement events that we're doing related to the America 250 to make sure policymakers and dignitaries know the history and the uniqueness of the premium cigar sector as America celebrates its 250th birthday. Glenn, any other final items that you want to cover?
Well, really, I can't believe I'm saying this, but in May of 26, but we're already having discussions with various states about planned legislation for 2027. So if anybody would like to reach out to me or to Josh regarding thoughts and ideas about legislation, we would certainly welcome those discussions. We're already engaging in such with Maryland, Kentucky, Georgia, Nebraska, just to name a few. Also, I want to highlight, this is another one of Glenn's show and tells. This is the 311-page study that the Premium Cigar Association conducted and undertook with the Cigar Association of America on tax cap legislation, assessing the tax policy on a state-by-state basis. This will be the roadmap towards a game plan. It has helped tremendously this year, for example, in the state of Washington, in defeating that tax measure. But it's also going to be a catalyst for positive legislation for tax cap bills, hopefully in the not too distant future in various states. So that it just highlights the type of research that the industry is undertaking to better position itself in a legislative level. Also, I want to quickly highlight we are on a daily basis monitoring the unflavored tobacco list policy of the state of California. We're still trying to get our point across on various issues of concern with that policy. So, just to name a few. So, it just goes to show, even though a lot of legislatures are now entering the twilight moments of the 26th season, it's the reason the political machine can never be turned off, as you well know.
And Glenn, I think it's worth noting for folks in the Midwest that we will be doing a reception for the National Conference of State Legislatures, which is in Chicago this year. That will be the third week of July. The details we will announce to folks in that area that we want to join us shortly. We are also following the summer season, most likely in early September. Glenn and I will be doing our virtual regional advocacy trainings again, like we do every year. So there will be several points for engagement. We will be renewing our grant program that will occur in October of this year when we have our board of directors meeting in Oklahoma City. So we will want to make sure that we bolster existing state associations as well as funding new state associations. And as Glenn mentioned, that regional block in New England will be very important as we look to roll back some of the most draconian policies, but also assert some positive legislation and introduce that, as you were mentioning.
Well, I just want to reinforce one more time, stay in touch with cigaraction.org. We're going to be revamping that communications tool going towards the end of the year. But until then, please refer to cigaraction.org. It's there as a policy resource, and it tells you on a state by state basis the issues that we're engaged with. So if you live in any of those states, please fill it out and use that tool that's available to you.
Good stuff. Well, thank you everyone for your time. We'll be back with our next filibuster in June, probably the second week of June. I know that I have a visit out to Portland, Oregon, June 8th through the 10th. Oregon has been a tough state for us, so I'm hoping to meet with a few existing retailers out there, as well as some prospective members to make sure that we're equipping ourselves for challenges out that way. I know that our team has gone to several states already this year that we typically have not been to in the past. I know that I'll be out at Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, as I mentioned, which it will be in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Glenn and I were recently in Miami for Big Smoke and had the opportunity to visit with Governor DeSantis and some local officials there. So, the steady stream of interactions and putting the premium cigar message forward is paying dividends. I want to give a shout out and kudos to our contract government affairs team, Rob Burgess and Ryan Parada, who've helped immensely with our output and productivity at the association. We had something really special 2 days before the trade show, enjoying cigars with Governor Jeff Landry in Louisiana at the governor's mansion. We presented him with an advocacy award. And I want to close this session today by congratulating all of the advocacy award recipients. I know we had Josh Pickett at Louisville Cigar Company, Rocky Patel, Glenn, it escapes me. Who were the other ones? We had one or two.
Mike Pike.
Mike Pike, Senator Mike Pike out in Iowa. I
I
think
think
that
that's it.
St. Louis is going to get one. We're adding one post show award. So
Regarding your comments on the governors, that's not too bad. 2 governors in 2 months. We need to make that a trend.
yeah, and I think there's going to be a third or fourth pretty soon. So it's good to see so many people embracing premium cigar culture at the highest levels. I remember, when we first had our trade show in New Orleans 2 years ago, bringing it back to New Orleans, I should say, it was astonishing having the first time a sitting governor addressed the audience, and then to kind of follow up that, we did that year one. What were we going to do in year two? And the ability for us to bring a few local retailers as well as our executive committee to the governor's mansion to have dinner and have a very forward conversation with him was very special.
I just remember our other advocacy winner, Chuck Ripley in Iowa, who helped out with the tax measure and cigar bar legislation there. Sorry that slipped my mind.
All good. Well, thank you, Glenn, for all that you do and our team and our membership for tuning in for today's filibuster. We will see everybody in June.